This down here is Angela Davis, and that's obviously Fani Willis. I think there's a huge resemblance, actually. But do I have any for sure that this is her mother? No, but get this. This was I came out 5 months ago. The sudden appearance of communist Angela Davis in the middle of former President Donald Trump's prosecution saga in Atlanta is a testament not just to her stunning political durability, it's also yet another reminder of how selective justice has been with prosecuting political violence. Davis, twice vice presidential candidate on the ticket of Communist Party USA and an unrepentant bootlicker of all communist tyrants, precisely at the point when the blood-soaked boot was pressed on someone's neck, has now been revealed as the live-in lover of John Floyd III, the father of Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis. That revelation actually came in an interview Floyd gave earlier this year to the California State University's Tom and Ethel Bradley Center, but the New York Post revealed the connection in an article this week. Floyd was interviewed as a founder of the Black Panther. Can I say that again? As a founder of the Black Panther Party and a prominent member of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, two of the biggest organizations of the 1960s. At the time I was this is a quote from Floyd. At the time I was dating Angela Davis, and she and I were actually living together. Oh. Floyd casually explained in the middle of reminiscing about other Black Panthers and SNCC leaders Huey Newton, Bobby Seale, and Stokely Carmichael. Davis at the time was a Black Panther herself and later became a fugitive after some of her accomplices fatally shot a judge with a gun registered to her. She was eventually arrested and tried in a case that brought her notoriety and fame. She was acquitted by a sympathetic white jury and went on tour of Cuba, East Germany, the Soviet Union, etc., some of the worst violators of human rights. But the atrocities for which these regimes were responsible didn't matter to the Marxist ideology when Harvard law professor Alan Dershowitz asked her for help with Jewish refuseniks languishing in Soviet prisons. Davis replied, quote, "They are all Zionist fascists and opponents of socialism. As for the Czech dissidents," she said, "they deserve what they get. Let them remain in prison." Today, college students don't regard Davis as a loathsome figure who kissed up to despots and displayed sadistic tendencies toward their victims, mostly because they aren't told about any of this. No, they aren't. They're told what a hero she is. Davis is now a distinguished professor at the University of California, Santa Cruz, whose website says unabashedly that Davis is known internationally for her ongoing work to combat all forms of oppression in the U.S. and abroad. This is all very well, you may reply, but how is Fulton County's Willis at fault for any of this? Willis doesn't have the blood of communism's victims on her hand. Davis does. But Willis is extremely close to her Black Panther conspiracy theory mongering father, who raised her by himself and often took her along to his militant work. So she was raised in that milieu. Willis says she speaks with her father, who calls the police the enemy, and still believes the CIA assassinated Malcolm X about 10 times a day. So he remains as an influence. Remember, he dated this same woman in the 60s. I think it's her mom, but again, no proof. It's through this lens that people should perhaps read her 98-page, 41-count indictment of Trump and 18 other co-conspirators, which says that the defendants knowingly and willfully joined a conspiracy to unlawfully, look at this conspiracy, this whole Black Panthers, BLM, all this, because I have more, I'm getting into her. Yeah, she even wrote a letter to Jim Jones. Does anybody, some people may not remember that. I remember watching the movie on it. It was in the 70s, the Jim Jones massacre, the cult. I'll get into that in a minute. Yeah, I read her letter. But anyway, let's see, which says that defendants knowingly and willfully joined a conspiracy to unlawfully change the outcome of an election in favor of Donald Trump. No, we know what side did that. And it wasn't in favor. We know what happened. Moreover, by a sudden popping up, Davis again reminds us why so many people believe that the Department of Justice under Merrick Garland is not blindly meeting justice. One does not have to question the propriety of indicting January 6th rioters to ask, why doesn't the government equally pursue and prosecute leftist insurrectionists? For Davis didn't just beat the rap herself. She's also an ideological mentor to the founders. She is of Black Lives Matter, fellow Marxist who half a century after Davis became the darling of Moscow, East Berlin, and Havana also want to dismantle the United States and use violence to do so. In exchange that made clear how relevant Davis remains to the revolution today, BLM founder Alicia Garza told Davis on the set of Democracy Now! In 2017, I have to say, Angela, one of the things I appreciate so much about you is that you're not waxing poetic about things that happened. You're still very much in relation to all of us and still teaching us and still learning from us and pushing us to get sharper, stronger, and keep fighting. Oh, please, I want to vomit. Thank you so much, Alicia. Thank you so much, Davis responded. The work that you do, that you, Patrice, and Opal, and the entire Black Lives Matter and the entire movement for Black Lives have accomplished over this period is phenomenal. So it just shows you Black Panthers was likely funded by George Soros too, because George Soros funded and created BLM. Known fact. The BLM riots of 2020 alone cost the nation billions and unleashed a national frenzy to remake America systemically over racial matters that continues unabated. The murder rate spiked 30% the following year, costing thousands of lives, and thousands of others have perished due to the BLM-related Ferguson effect since the riots in that Missouri City in 2014. And yet no Fani Willis has risen to indict the insurrectionists of 2020, nor has Congress investigated the matter. The intentions of the BLM founders, the role they played in the disturbances and their links with communists abroad. Shouldn't we know how Davis is making BLM sharper and why? Yeah, we sure the hell should.